Hey guys,
I'm Hallie,
and I'm Jamie.
and this is Literal Nonsense.
Hey y'all.
Hey!
What's up? What's up?
That was very southern of you.
I was thinking that.
You really had
Like,
like a drawl going.
I know, in my head I was like, I wonder if they'll know I'm from New Jersey. I'm tricking them. But I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna commit.
Full send.
Right. Um, well, this book takes place in not anywhere southern, so it didn't even match. Never
No.
mind. It's like in fucking what, Minnesota?
Yeah, Minnesota.
Oh, so I should have done that. Oh well, next time. So we decided to do this book. Well, number one, you guys voted for it, but I had a strong feeling that this was going to be the book that we ended up doing because I feel like everyone and their mother has been reading this book.
Yeah, it's been everywhere.
Everywhere. And so, if you haven't guessed already, because it's literally just been all over the place, like mass fucking in your
Chaos.
face,
Yeah.
we read Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. So this was a romance. I think this was our first romance we read that I hadn't read first.
Mm-hmm.
Like other books we've done like both our first reads and stuff. But this romance was fresh for both of us,
Mm-hmm.
which I was excited about. And yeah, I will start off by saying I enjoyed this book.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I guess let's go into a little synopsis about what
Okay.
this book's about.
Yes. A synopsis. Oh, you want me to do it or you want to do it?
Yeah, fuck it, you do it.
Oh, God.
Synop for me.
Pressure's on. All right. So the main character, her name is Emma. And she's a travel nurse with her best friend Maddie, who's also like her foster sister. And so basically the book opens up with a Reddit thread, and this guy is saying that, oh, I have this thing where every person I date after we break up, they find the love of their life. And this just recently happened, and my ex-girlfriend is now happily in a relationship with my best friend. And so I went to the dog kennel and found the ugliest dog there was, and I named him after my best friend.
10 out
And
of 10 choice.
yeah, so he's asking, am I the asshole? Um so that's where it starts. And one day Emma's on lunch break and her friend's like, "Oh, you have to see this Reddit thread." And apparently Emma has the same problem where after every person she dates, they go off and find like their person. And so um she, I guess you can DM on Reddit. I don't know. I've never like actually used Reddit.
Yeah, I'm not like a Reddit girly, but I suppose you could find like the user and be like, "Hello."
Yeah, so she ends up DMing him and they start having a little conversation. It's cute, funny little banter. And then they start talking, they start texting, they start FaceTiming. And
Which bold, so bold.
yeah, and so basically and her friend Maddie, they were supposed to do their next like 6 weeks or whatever, like 3 months in Hawaii. But Emma convinces Maddie to go to Minnesota where
Yay.
Justin is, and Justin's the guy from Reddit. And so things just kind of really kick off from there. They end up hanging out a lot and fall in love basically. And
Which okay, so plot wise, I thought this was very unique. Like I was into this.
yes.
Cute, so cute. I was like, wow, what a nice. Also, I love those like "Am I the asshole?" pages. So I was like,
Yeah.
amazing. So I think this was like a cute, like this was like a nice little meet cute. You know,
Hmm.
it was original. I enjoyed it. Um, so yeah, I liked the setup of like where we were going with this. Because again, in some fashion, right, all romances are like the same esque, just because they're
Hmm.
gonna be.
Yeah.
Um, but give me a unique plot. Now, I like the travel nurse aspect because like
Hmm.
I feel as though that helped make it more believable. Like
Hmm.
it wasn't like Maddie and Emma were like leaving their jobs and being like, "Let's go see this guy," like
Yeah.
because that'd be fucking insane. Um, and so yeah, so they go to Minnesota, which I mean, over Hawaii, I don't really know. Maddie's a good friend.
Yeah. Same.
But
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
like fine. I mean, also at the same time, it's like they could go whenever if they really
Yeah.
wanted to.
Yeah.
So is
Oh,
what it is.
so the reason she ends up going to Minnesota is because Justin's friend comes up with this idea and is like, "Oh, if you
Mm,
two date each other, then when you guys break up, you'll find the loves of your lives."
right.
So it's like
Yeah.
the curse kind of undoes each other kind of thing.
Right. So they're like,
And
let's do it.
yeah, so like Emma convinces Maddie in the way like, "Oh, like it's only 6 weeks, like what's the worst that's going to happen? It's a new adventure and like whatever, talking it up."
Which I mean, right off the get, like that's not
Yeah.
that's not gonna work.
No.
Which I'm okay with that. And so now like the plot thickens as per usual, but
Okay, yes. And I was actually very like there were a few times where I was really caught off guard because like I was just like really immersed in the story and then all of a sudden like this fucking crazy shit happens and I was like, "Holy shit, like that was crazy."
yeah,
Like
and so to give a
how
little
everything falls
backstory,
together, you know?
yes. And so to give a little backstory before we get into like the crazy details. So again, the premise, they go to Minnesota. Okay, so they end up getting this like they always find like fun places to stay when they travel nurse. So they find this cute little like cottage on a like island on a lake.
Mhm.
Adorable. Totally about that. And so now the reason we know off the bat that Emma's been in foster care, Maddie's her foster sister, they travel together, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Now, also when you first open the book, there's like a trigger warning, and I was like, oh dear.
Mhm.
always
Well,
juicy, I suppose, when
I
there's a
feel
trigger
like
warning. I don't know.
I feel like we have PTSD from like haunting Adeline.
Well, yeah, this trigger warning I felt was accurate and like could have been
Yeah.
warranted, but like it didn't traumatize like me.
Yeah.
Like Haunting Adeline, I feel like traumatized anyone. Like,
Well, apparently not, but
anyways, that book was crazy. um, and so basically, so we find out that Emma's mom has been like very flaky her whole life, and that's like honestly being generous. She's left her alone when she was like 8 years old. She just would vanish to the point where Emma would try to like, be just really good and independent so her mom wouldn't leave or like get sick of her or
Mhm.
whatever. She vanishes still to this day, won't contact her or anything, has like no phone number, doesn't know where she is. Then she'll like pop back out. Here I am, call
Yeah.
her, whatever. And basically Emma explains how obviously this has just like really been a lot for her whole life. It's part of the reason she travel nurses and kind of just moves around. Like she was so used to like being unsettled in her life.
Mhm.
She also references how Maddie's moms, they wanted to adopt her, but they weren't like her like family. She would always
Mhm.
hope her mom would come back. 'Cause her mom wasn't dead, so it's like there's always like that sliver of hope.
Yeah. She always
Which
had like her suitcase ready in case like her mom came and then she could just leave.
which objectively I feel like is almost worse. Now I'm not saying like having a dead parent is good,
Mhm.
obviously.
Yeah.
But at the same time it's like she never even got to have that closure. Like she always had that hope, and like I feel like that was almost worse for her.
Yeah.
Like she didn't really immerse herself into Maddie's family. She never unpacked her suitcase because like there was always like no matter if it was a 0.001% chance that her mom would like change and be a decent person, there was still that chance
Yeah.
like in her head. And so Maddie basically explained, or not Maddie, Emma explains that, she's always worried when she's not calling her, but then when she's calling her, it's like, all right, I know she's fine for now, but then like now I'm worried like when she's gonna vanish again. Like it's a constant
Yeah.
loop of worry.
Like when is the shoe gonna drop?
Right, like is she gonna turn up dead, like in jail again? Like it's like it's just been a toxic cycle forever.
Mhm.
So they get to Minnesota, they're like going to their little house on the lake, blah blah blah. They're starting work. She tells Justin she's here. He's like, holy shit, whatever. And then all of a sudden they're like coming back on this little like pontoon thing they have, and there's her fucking mom,
Yeah.
Amber, just, hey girls.
Okay, yeah. So like this was my thing, right? So
I was like, Amber,
yeah.
what are you doing here?
Yeah, so um Emma gets in contact with her mom. Now she hasn't talked to her in 2 years.
Yeah, two
And
years.
and her mom's like, "Oh my god, guess what, Emma? I have the best surprise for you. And she's like, what? And she was like, oh, remember your like little stuffed animal when you were 8 years old? I found it. And she was like, I'll mail it to you. Like, what's your address? So Emma,
Mm.
she gives her mom her address because she wants her stuffy, I guess. And I think maybe a part of her
Which,
also hoped she would maybe show up. But as a reader, I wasn't thinking along that
no, I
lines.
wasn't thinking Amber was going to show up. Also, I have a Stuffy. His name isn't Stuffy. His name's actually Mushy. So there you go. And if I lost Mushy Bear and someone found him, I would also give my address away in point 0.5 seconds to get Mushy Bear
Yeah,
back.
which is totally understandable, right? So, whatever.
Yes.
So, they're leaving the cottage. Mind you, they haven't met the owner of the house. So, it's like there's this giant lake house, like, huge mansion, there's a yacht, and then you take this little pontoon boat to this house on the island, which is owned by the person who lives on the mainland. And they don't know who this person is, but obviously they make a shit ton of money, right?
Correct.
So I just thought this was so crazy, this series of events. So they come off the pontoon boat, and who's there? Amber.
Yep.
And Amber is now all of a sudden dating the owner of the house. His name is Neil.
Which dating is crazy. Like she showed up for Emma, obviously. Like that's
Yeah,
how she found the address. And like these two are like smittenly in love
I know.
within
Crazy.
like an hour?
And what really threw me was because like Maria, who's like the housekeeper, she told Emma and Maddie, and she was like, he was in a long-term relationship, and then they broke up, and ever since then he hasn't been the same. He's been like a recluse, he doesn't leave the house, like da 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 da. And now all of a sudden he's like, fucking George Clooney fucking prancing around Amber. Like,
Okay, so wait. So I wanted this is what I told you. I was like I wanted to bring this up to you and I didn't want to text it cuz I wanted to do it here first.
okay.
So did you read the author's note or like the question thing at the end or no?
I saw it and then I skipped over it because I didn't feel like
No,
reading it.
that's fine. I'm really happy you didn't actually. So, this book, which this might be a spoiler, I feel as though most people just read this book, but I'm super into this. So, in the author's note, everyone, so the guy who owns the house, his name is Neil. I don't know if we just
Yeah.
said that. So, in the author's note, like one of the questions or discussion was like, what
Yeah.
made you bring Neil back? So, there's two other books, and it's about him and the
Oh,
girlfriend.
I see.
So, you know how later on in the book, which we'll get to, you know how like that nurse couple comes in
Yes.
and they mention the best
Yes.
friend? So, one of
Yes.
the book is about the best friend and Neil.
Oh,
The second book is about the nurse couple. So,
okay.
it's like they're independent stories, but they all like tie together.
So that's like the Twisted Love series by Anna Wang, right?
Yes, kind of.
Okay.
Obviously much better done because you know how I feel about that series.
Yes.
Um yeah, so I was really excited about that. So like
Oh.
kind of a spoiler because now we know what happens to both the couples in which those books are about.
Yeah.
But I would totally be into reading them.
Okay, yeah. So we could talk more about that later when we
Yeah,
go
I
over
wanted to
our
bring it up because I got
readings.
so excited because I was like,
Yeah.
ah!
Okay, so that was like the first kind of like not a jump scare, but you're like, holy shit, what the fuck?
Yeah,
Um,
I was a little jump scared.
okay, well then like a few chapters later, or even a couple chapters later, they have their first rounds at the hospital, and they're maybe like the person who's like onboarding them onto like their first day. He's like, oh, the head surgeon, he's an asshole. Everyone hates him. He's the worst. Like he's Satan reincarnated. And then they bump into Neil in the hallway, and they're like, "Oh my god, hey!" And he was like, "Oh hi, I'm the head
He's like,
surgeon here."
hey girls, what's up?
Yeah, like he's like best friends with them, and everyone, like the person who was like onboarding them, was like staring, like, "What the
Yeah,
fuck?"
because he's like, oh my god, see you girls for dinner later.
Yeah. So then that was another part where I was like, "Wow, that was crazy," and it was
Like,
really,
of
it was done
course.
well. It was done well.
Yeah. It was one of those things where, like, I
I was not
could,
expecting it.
I could have felt like, oh, of course it's all related, but I didn't feel that way. I think she did it
No,
well.
I didn't either.
I feel like she did it a good job. Now, at this point, Maddie is absolutely livid because Maddie, this part, I want to hear your thoughts too. It's
Okay.
tricky, man. I get Maddie's feelings. Maddie obviously hates Amber. She's watched her
Yeah.
best friend be hurt her whole life. And she basically says, like, Amber's going to come flit in, ruin this guy's life, probably. And
Mm-hmm.
now, like, his mood depends on not only our living situation, but now our jobs.
Yeah.
So, like, that's going to really fuck us. And listen, I get it. I think it's hard when it comes to people that you love when they're being hurt and like they're accepting it and not standing up for themselves. You almost get angry on their behalf, but like also rightfully so. Emma gets pissed off at Maddie because Maddie's very open about her opinions of her mom.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of those things where it's like, this happens, I feel like, in everyone's life, right? I can talk shit about my own parents, but you can't talk shit about my parents. You know,
Yeah.
like, Emma knows her mom sucks.
Yeah.
But it's like another thing, like, even if Emma's actively ranting about her mom, Maddie really can't be like super hard back because you get defensive.
Of course, which is understandable.
So it's
Um,
hard because I do see Maddie's like almost mama bear stance, but I think she needs to chill out.
I mean, yes, but I also really liked Maddie for that reason. And I was like, yeah, fucking tell her. Like, sometimes the only way out is through, right? So you have to have those hard
Oh, okay,
conversations.
girl.
I don't know. Like, if, I don't know. It's hard to say, like, if I was in those shoes, you know what I mean? But
No, and I don't disagree with
I
Maddie. I just
feel,
think that she's really like pushing hard, and
yeah.
that could get slippery.
Okay, but this is also a stance is that, like, okay, they're almost 30. And
Right?
I
Yeah.
think the book mentions that Emma was with Maddie since they were like 8 or 9 years old. So that's over 20 years of friendship. I mean, like at that point, you're practically family at that point. And so I feel like Maddie does kind of have some ground in talking shit about Amber
Right, because she's
because,
literally watched it happen.
yeah. And I feel like she's also been indirectly affected by it. If
Oh,
no,
for sure.
directly affected by it
Yeah.
because her and Emma are two peas in a pod. So when she fucks up Emma's life, she's fucking up her life too.
I will say actually there was a lot of points you reminded me of Maddie, or vice versa. Maddie reminded me of you. I don't know. I think just like the blunt um spiciness for lack of a better word.
Oh,
But like
thank
in a
you.
good way. Like I thought it was a good thing.
Okay. I mean, I liked Maddie, so I won't take it
Yeah, like
as
I felt
an
like that's a
offense.
compliment. Like honestly. Yeah, I didn't mean it offensively at all. I meant it like in a good way.
Oh my god.
um yeah, so now Amber's here and she's just like living with Neil. Maddie also makes a very good point of basically being like Amber's now living essentially right next door to us, and she makes
Mm-hmm.
no effort to see you. The only time she ever calls to see you is like, oh, Neil wants you guys to come for dinner. And it's like, it's probably because Neil's asking her, like, hey, your daughter's right over there. Like, why aren't you hanging out with her if you haven't seen her in
Mm-hmm.
2 years? So it's like almost like Amber just is like trying to use Emma as like a pawn. Like, of course I'm a good mom. Of course I want to see my
Yeah.
daughter.
Yeah.
And that's like such a fucked situation. Um, so yeah, we'll get more into Amber as the book goes on, but that's kind of what's going on. And now, like amid this, Emma's trying to date Justin, so they make a
Yeah.
little pact. Which again,
Love a pact.
I love a pact, but like the pacts never work.
No,
So,
of course.
um, so what was the pact? It was four
So,
dates,
yeah, 4 dates, a kiss,
and they had to talk every day,
mm-hmm.
and a breakup.
And then break up.
So his first date. Okay, first of all,
His first date
Justin.
blew me out of the water. Okay, Justin's my book boyfriend. I'm saying it now.
Justin was
I
great.
I
He's
was
sending
obsessed with him.
surveys.
I was
Surveys.
obsessed, obsessed,
Obsessed.
obsessed.
Um, he's sending surveys before the date even happens, and it was like, "What do you want to do? Like, like movie, I don't know, dinner, my choice,
Yeah,
whatever. What kind of
clothes.
outfit? Yeah, like
Yeah,
just
so cute. Like
so cute. I feel like
corny,
he's
but like well done.
yes. I feel like he's almost like he's not nerdy at all, but he's like endearing, but also super hot for sure.
Oh yeah, he's
Um,
definitely like your boy next door.
yeah, yeah, he's very wholesome. That's what it is.
Yeah,
It's
and
not
I
nerdy
think
at all. It's
no,
wholesome.
and I think that like his whole situation with his family was also like
Yes, well done.
well done. Yeah,
So
like
let's
I
go
didn't
into
think it
that.
was like I don't know. I feel like that's a really tricky line to like walk, where
Hmm.
it's like So basically, okay, so Justin, his dad died in a car crash, and then what was it like 2 years later, his mom got indicted for like embezzling money, which honestly I thought it was going to be like millions, but he was like, oh, it's $200,000, and I'm like, is it that much? I really don't think so. Well, anyways, she has to go to jail for 6 years because of that, and
Which
so
Maybe that's why she made it a low amount, because like then it's not like
I don't know. I thought she
20
was like,
years.
I was thinking she was like this big head honcho schemer. I was like, this bitch embezzled millions of dollars, and he was like
But I
$200,000. I was
almost
like,
feel
oh, make it
I,
worth it at least.
well, agreed, but I almost feel like that's more realistic, right? Because like
I
as like a
guess.
widow, right, whatever, she
Yeah.
probably didn't even want to do much, like you said, that she like redid their yard, like just made a
Yeah.
good home for her kids. She probably was feeling somewhat desperate, like with her husband being gone.
And she
She was
worked for a
kind of like,
nonprofit too, which why would you embezzle from a nonprofit?
yeah, it's fucked. But I mean, desperate times. She's like, I am a nonprofit. Profit me.
I'm profiting
um,
myself.
yeah, but like, like she has 4 kids. One of them is young.
4.
The dad died when the youngest was 5 months old.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, she probably was just kind of like
In a rough spot.
going through it and was honestly like, let's make a good life for ourselves. And she probably honestly, right to your point, 200,000 probably was like, no one's gonna miss this. Like,
Yeah.
I'll just help us out, make us cozy and feel good, kind of like do a little retail therapy,
Yeah.
and we're good. We're smooth sailing until obviously she fucking got caught.
Yeah. So now she has to go to prison. And so it's either let all the kids go into foster care or
Well,
Justin
with
has to take
no, they
ownership
would go
again.
with what's it? What was her name? The friend.
Oh, Lee?
Yeah, the Lee was gonna take them, but they would
Oh.
have had to change schools and stuff. And so
Oh,
Justin was
yeah.
like, so
Yes.
the mom has a best friend. Her name is Lee. It's actually Brad, his friend who named the dog after his mother. So
Yeah.
they're like family friends.
They like grew up together, so they're basically family.
Yeah, and also like Brad's fine. Like he thinks he's an asshole for naming the dog Brad, but like it's kind of like a funny thing. They
I
have a
thought it
funny
was
relationship.
hilarious.
Like they have
They
like a
do.
funny like whatever, like just bro, like they hate each other, but like
They
obviously they're just
love
like
each other.
brothers. Yeah.
Yeah.
um and so Lee was gonna not adopt the kids but like take them, but like Justin said to have them switch schools. The brother is 17, his sister's 12, and the other one's 5. So like those are very pivotal points in all their lives, especially for
Hmm.
6 years. Like the
Yeah.
oldest two would then have to graduate without their friends. So I think he was just like, there's kind of like no choice in his mind. Like he's
Hmm.
like, this is what I have to do.
Yeah.
Which,
Which applauds to him because,
yes, yeah, because that's the easy thing is to be like, oh yeah, of course, my like, and
yeah.
honestly, Lee would be a good guardian, like
Yeah.
no question about it. So yeah, and also I feel like that was well done. Like his
Yeah.
issue, like both their issues were separate, but I felt like just like well done.
Yeah. Like, I feel like also too because the book changes narratives, right? It has different POVs between Justin and
Which
Emma.
I love,
Love.
give me a dual POV any
Yes.
fucking day,
Yes.
because it's
Yes.
always the woman's point of view. And I'm like, okay, like I see that you're telling me that this man wants you with his eyes so badly. I want to be in that motherfucker's head. I
Yes.
want to know how bad he wants you from his own mouth. Tell me more.
Jesus Christ. You are not the father.
Yeah,
Um
well, that would be unfortunate. Yeah, no, I'm a big dual POV, or like certain books, even like a dual timeline. Like I need, like, give
yeah,
me as much information as,
possible
yeah.
without being like excessive with it, obviously. But no, yeah.
The
So
more the better for me.
sometimes it's a little too much, like you don't need to be we won't need to go into that, but like for me sometimes it's like too much, but I do like a dual POV.
Did you
Just
feel like
not
this was
like
too much or no?
no, I thought it was good.
Okay.
I think okay, also so random, but it just made me think of It Happened One Summer.
Well, look at you.
What is it with these fucking romance writers and saying
I thought of you this whole way, hon. I forgot about this completely, and it's all I wanted to mention. Okay, no, that bothered me this whole book. That was the only thing I didn't like about this book, and I
yes.
literally just thought about you every fucking time I read it. Okay, sorry, you could tell everyone what it is, but I was fucking hysterical this whole book.
I
Oh my
hated
god.
it. So in It Happened One Summer, if you didn't watch that episode, the main character, Olive, she
No, Piper.
oh, that's On Honeymooners. Wow, I'm
That's
getting them
okay.
all confused now. Piper.
Wow, look at you, you romance queen.
Jesus Christ, I've read way too many. So
Piper.
Piper calls like the embracement from her boyfriend,
Brendan.
Brendan, the recharging station, which did not like. Okay. Now, in this book, this bitch is saying the same thing, but she's calling it what? A
A,
redocking?
a docking
A
station.
docking station. And I'm like, what?
I was fucking shocked.
What is this? Is this like a real thing?
No, it's not. The only thing I can speculate is that Abby Jimenez read Tessa Bailey and thought it was creative and used it. There's no other explanation because
Well,
I'm
I didn't like
sorry.
it.
No, I didn't like it either. Um, when Hallie, oh my god, okay, we'll go back in the timeline and go through each of their dates because they're very cute. But
Yeah.
when I tell you the first time I saw Docking Station, I shut my book and I was like, oh my god, Harley's gonna fucking lose it. I was
Yeah.
like, I do I warn her? I don't know.
No.
I didn't warn her. No, I was
That's like my
and
one
she
gripe.
and she also says it excessively. Like Piper said it
Yes.
excessively and Emma says it excessively. Like they at least okay, Piper said recharging station at least 10 times. Emma said docking station at least 10 times.
Yeah.
Insanity. Okay.
I just
So
don't get it, but
no, I don't
whatever.
get it. No, I hated that. Anyways, so let's go through their dates. So their first date, he brings her to play with kittens.
Honestly, this was the best first date. Like if
Marry
I
me immediately.
yes.
Kittens? Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
Kittens. And what else they did? Took like a walk.
Yeah. Did they get ice cream at that one?
Yeah, I think so. Like it was just like a wholesome, good date. When they get back from the date, Amber's with Neil and they're having a lobster fest.
Oh yeah.
And
Yes.
basically, Maddie was like, I do not want to fucking stay for this. See you later. And Justin's like, I'll stay with you. So he
Yeah.
stays and deals with her weird ass, crazy ass mom. Which I feel like was a nice, like almost like vulnerable thing because it like showed like this is more than just, a
Hmm.
pact, a date. Because
Well,
that's like really vulnerable for her to go through and have him there to witness like her manic, for lack of a better word, mom.
so this is the thing, right? And she sets this up really early in the book, and it's like there wasn't a lot of time for like the drawn out, like the yearning. I could have done with a little bit more yearning, but like as soon as they meet, he describes it as like, getting hit by a truck. And she also kind of describes it the same way. And like they've never felt that way for some, like another person before. So they were kind of, well, he was more embracing of his feelings for her than she was of him, but that's because of like her own
Trauma.
PTSD, trauma, whatever. But it's mentioned pretty early in the book that like, they're really liking each other and they're really kicking it off. Which
Yeah.
I felt was fine. Like I don't think like an enemies to lovers thing would have been a thing, or even just like your classic friends to benefits or to
Yeah.
relationship,
I,
whatever.
f- I agree.
Like I felt like they're, which also was like unique, right? Like what a random fucking way to meet somebody and then to just be completely almost immersed in their world.
Well, and I think it was almost accurate because it's like, to be honest, right? There's not going to be like that, like, we're just friends thing. Like, she literally flew there to pursue a relationship in some form with him.
Mm-hmm.
I do appreciate how she gave us the yearning in the sense of the first kiss. So
Yes.
early on, Justin realizes like he likes he likes Emma. Sorry, not Maddie. He likes Emma more than just this deal they have going.
Yeah.
And so he's like, I need to draw this out. Like, if it's 4 dates, a kiss, and a breakup, like, I got to make this last. And so he resists like kissing her because he's like, I don't want it to end.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want this to just end at our deal. I want to see if like she'll really give this a shot with me.
Yeah.
So they gave us the yearning there because she clearly wants, to kiss him.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then pretty much their first date, I feel like, was their only normal date.
Yeah, because everything
Um,
else was just kind of almost like a shit
Everything
show.
always happened. So like the one date they went to go on a date and Lee is watching the kids and she calls Justin and she's like, they all have head lice. And he's like, great. And he's like, so do you want to come like delouse my family with me? And she was like, yes, I would.
Yeah, but it's so. I thought that was really funny because they were like walking on the bridge where apparently everybody gets proposed on, and he like
Yes.
got down on one knee and he was like, "Would you do me the honor of delicing my siblings' heads?" She's
And
like, "Oh
everyone was
my
like
god, yeah."
cheering.
Yeah, I thought that was really
And they're
funny.
also both wearing the Toilet King shirts. So I don't know if we've even mentioned Toilet King. So part of this story is when Justin has to get an apartment because Brad starts dating his ex-girlfriend and like moves out. He needs to find like a cheap apartment, and he finds one that looks great, but the only issue is the window is like right in front of this Toilet King billboard, and it's
Bored,
just like
yeah.
this like clogged toilet in his view 24/7. So that's like part of like the like Reddit thread he wrote. And so
Yeah.
now it's like an inside joke. So him
Yes.
and Emma are both wearing like Toilet King shirts. It's like a whole thing. And that's how she like told him she was in Minnesota, was she literally sent a picture of like the Toilet King like
Billboard.
billboard, and he was like, "You're here." So whatever.
Yeah.
Um so yeah, so she
So
goes
good.
to the house, and it's also so Sarah, who's the sibling, the 12-year-old sister, she's rightfully like super pissy that the mom is
She
getting put
definitely
away.
she's got that like teenage angst for sure.
Yeah, and like Emma even makes a point and says like she's just hurt and upset, and so
Yeah.
she's like, you know, acting pissed to kind of like cover that up.
Mhm.
And so at this point, I think Emma had said that she had lice once in like the foster care system.
Mhm.
And it's like super embarrassing for a girl and like almost being in high school, whatever. And so Sarah like asks if Emma could like comb her hair and stuff.
Mhm.
And they like have a little bonding moment.
Which is
Emma,
sweet.
yeah, Emma brings over hair dye, and she's like, "We'll make this day into a good memory. Like we'll dye your hair purple and blue, whatever." And
Mhm.
she's like super into her. Um, so yeah. So they love that.
Well, she like, all the dates after that first one kind of surround like are enveloping both of their families, especially especially his.
Right.
And I think right off the bat she fit in really well with the family and they really took well to her.
Which
And
is great, but also kind of the downfall.
yes.
Yeah.
So this whole time, okay, so whatever. That was one date, and then the other date,
Well, she
um,
was like dying.
yeah, she got norovirus, which that sucks. And so she's like literally about to die in this cottage on the island because she can barely get up. She won't stop vomiting. There's no food in the house.
No, like she
Like,
barely can get herself water.
yeah, Maddie had gone home for like her parents' anniversary party and
Amber and Neil are in Mexico.
yeah, so she's really she can't get on the boat to leave. She can't even get up from her bed. And so Justin ends up calling. She started like, and she's like delirious at this point. She hasn't eaten in like 3 days. She has no water in her. And so he is like, holy shit, something's wrong. So he goes to the house and he takes the unicorn pool floaty and the oars and he fucking trucks his
Dude,
way across the
and
lake.
to me it wasn't even like corny because she has the boat, Neil's gone, he goes to a neighbor's, they had no boat.
Yeah,
Like
mad
literally
creative.
he was like, I need to get to her, like she's dying.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even like it was like a corny like, like honestly like
Mhm.
I felt the desperation, like I was like, you need to
Yeah.
fucking get there.
And that's the thing, right?
You
And
can't swim.
that's like the joke that they had between Emma and Maddie is like, oh, if he wanted to, he would. And like he just blew all expectations out of the water. Like, wow, what a fucking man.
So I will say it's endearing. So then they have like a nice 4 days at the cottage. He takes care of her.
But
Then
then
he
he
ends
gets
up getting
sick.
sick. So then
Yeah.
she takes care of him. But then like after they're both better, they're like fucking playing Nerf guns and like having this like just
Yeah.
cute little getaway. Now, aside from that, I will say, as someone with whatever the fuck, I think it's emetophobia, I don't know, the fear of vomiting, I
Oh,
was actually palpitating reading this entire part. It was endearing
really?
for sure, but like I can't even read about it. Like I was like, I'm now
Oh.
sick.
Well,
Yeah.
I thought of you about that. I was like, oh, Jamie probably hates this, but I didn't realize even just reading about it makes you sick.
Yeah, like it's not even like it makes me nauseous. It's like I'm like I've gotten it from them. I am now sick.
Yeah.
Like cuz when I read, I get very into my books. Like and the whole time when he was like taking care of her, I was like, "Oh my god, you're going to get sick."
Yeah. Yeah, I was
I was like
also thinking
I was like,
that.
"Get out of there." Like I don't love this about myself, but like no matter how much I love someone, like I don't think I could do it. Like I'd be like, "Here's some crackers. Gotta go."
Call me in 3 days.
Yeah, like but it was very endearing that he did it. Like, and then oh my god, okay, this part stressed me out too. He's then sick, and she's a nurse, so like I totally understand their stance. But like he's sick, and he's just vomiting while they're watching a movie, and they'll like pause it so he can vomit, and he
I
like
thought,
spits into the
yeah.
trash can. I was like, how are they just sitting here together? Like, I was
I
like,
know.
what the
I
fuck?
did think that was a little strange for sure.
I literally was like, this is my fucking nightmare. I would never talk
Yeah.
to this man again.
Wait, but we also forgot to mention that before all this, like, they were at the mansion on the lake, and Emma had asked Justin if like they had sex, it would just be casual, and
Oh,
he got mad feelings from that because obviously he feels more
yeah, he
for
was like,
her.
no, yeah.
And so things were kind of awkward after that because then Amber was having a whole fucking flip out, and she was like, she fucking came out of the garage and
She was throwing shit at
she was,
Neil.
yeah, and she had like wine all over her, and he's like, you're fucking crazy, and she like broke his car or whatever.
Yeah, but he was good. He just gave her a hug. He was like, he took care of her.
Yeah, which was fine, but like after that, like Jess and Emma like were only texting their obligatory good morning text, like to get their
Yeah.
one text in.
Yeah,
And
they
you're
weren't
like,
texting at
no,
all.
like you were
Right.
so upset. Like I was so mad. I was like, one of them needs to fucking break the ice. Well,
Well,
then
she
Emma
almost
starts to
died.
die, so yeah.
So, right.
And then they ended up back together, and then they also have sex at this point,
Yes, after their vomit fest. Yay.
which, ugh,
I mean, I'm sure like at that point they had both like been done vomiting for 24 hours, brushed their teeth, showered. Like I just had to like
well,
give myself
that's
that
what it said in the
circumstance.
book for sure.
Yeah.
No, they said that, yeah.
Like
She was like,
again,
we each hadn't thrown up in like 36 hours or something like that.
I literally can't. I can't do it. I don't know. I'm literally like a fucking psycho. It's a problem actually, but you know, it was cute. It served the purpose, right? Like, you know, and like it was really endearing, right? She thought he left. She looks and he's curled up underneath the window, like on a little like bench, and she says he didn't want to like get in bed without my permission, like with me, but he didn't want to sleep on the couch. Like he wanted to be like in case I needed him, like right here.
Yeah.
So like very, very sweet, very endearing. Just at a real primal and base level, I wanted to die.
Dead.
Yeah.
I
That
mean,
was it.
I guess for you that's understandable.
Yeah, it's actually I think I need to go to therapy about it. But that's besides the point. So yeah, so now after this point, Vomit Fest turned into a turning point for these two.
Yeah.
Um
So
Essentially he's like, stay. Just
yeah.
stay. Let's give this a shot. Um does she
And
start
she's like, I don't
living
know.
there now?
She was getting all weird, and she's like, I have to think about it.
But
And
when does
then
she
like,
start staying there all the time? Was it after this?
yeah,
So now she's like sleeping
like a
over.
couple days, because she was like, because then she showed up at his door, and she was like, okay, let's give this a shot.
Oh yes, with the rose bush and the rain. Oh,
Yeah.
romantic.
Yeah.
Yeah, because yeah. So that was the thing, right? He asks her after Vomit Fest to give this a shot. She's like,
Vomit
"Please go
Fest.
away. I don't know. I need to think about it." And at that point, I was like, "Ooh, heart and asshole. She's not gonna say yes." And then she shows up at his door in a romantic gesture and was like, "Yeah, let's do this." And she starts living there, and it's lovely.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm so happy.
Yeah. And I think in the book too, and it's like, like Justin says, like the love story's got it wrong. Like it doesn't have to be all these great grand gestures and like the stars in the background, the romantic music. Like it's like about the everyday things and
We
you know
heart Justin.
making the mundane special, like whatever. And I was like, God, just swooning over here. I was like, wow, this man
Yeah.
is amazing.
And then she starts this like little routine of she sleeps over but gets up before the kids get up for school and like she leaves. And then at one point, what's the baby's name?
Chelsea.
Yes. Chelsea comes in and she's crying and so she's like just bring her in the bedroom, like whatever, like let her sleep
Yeah.
with us. She comes in the bedroom, she sleeps with them, and then she's like, and next thing I knew I was having breakfast with all the kids. And which I
Yeah.
thought was really cute.
Well,
And
that
then
because that was one of her things. She was like, I've never dated a man
and
with
like met the
kids, and that's like
family.
one of my rules. Because to
But
her, that's like putting down roots kind of thing, and she didn't want
right.
to like hurt anyone, which was nice.
But also, like, I think like the whole stance, like, I don't want to date a man with kids is very reasonable because I also wouldn't want to date a man with kids.
Well, yeah, I can assure that's
But
not. She's already a part of their lives, though.
well, and also like her stance too. I get what you're saying, like the whole root thing, but also realistically, then she said she's like, well, they're not his kids. Like, yes, he's taking care of them, but they're his siblings. Like,
Yeah,
it is different. Like, as far as the putting in the roots thing, it's the same because like he has responsibility for these children, but at the same time, like it's not like he's a fucking man with 3 kids. I
yeah,
mean, they're
like they're
his
not
siblings.
his. He's just
Right.
watching them for the time being, and for the
Right.
most part, the two of them are older, so they can kind of
Yeah.
fend for themselves.
And so yeah, so she's watching him make them breakfast and I'm like, "Ugh, Daddy Justin.
Seriously, wow. When she was like, oh, in a sweatshirt and pajama pants, I was like, yes.
Yeah, literally. Isn't that so funny? Because that's like the most bummy outfit ever.
No, it's great.
Oh my god. Yeah, I know. Crazy. Then
Take that over a suit any day.
no, for sure. And then I'm like, my little like ovaries start tingling, and I'm like, oh, imagine Ryan making pancakes for children. And then I'm like, no, no children here.
Yeah,
Get
no.
away.
Yeah.
Get away from me.
This is my no-no square.
Don't touch me. I'm like reading this book and I'm like, perhaps. This is persuading me. Anyways, so but then Justin goes somewhere. I don't know, he walks away, goes pee. I have no idea where he goes. And the kids are like, yeah, we like know you sleep here every night, right? And she's like, what do you mean? And they're like, we hear you guys like just giggling. And I was like, aw.
Yeah, I thought that was so funny. Like, that was really cute.
I love that. And so then she's like, yeah, then we just started every morning. Like, she's taken the brother for his driving lesson. She's taken the sister Sarah to like her dance classes. Like, she's just like momming it up with Daddy Justin.
She's literally a full functioning person in this family.
Yeah, full functioning. And so now shit hits the fan. It's her birthday. Does Amber freak out yet?
No. It's been radio silent. She hasn't heard from her mom.
Yeah, Amber can give a fuck less. Amber comes to Emma's work with lunch, and Emma's like, Mom! And she's like, I brought this all for Neil. And then they're like, well, Neil's in surgery, and she like is all disappointed. She's like, oh, bye. And Emma and Maddie are like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, that was crazy.
Bro, I would slap my mother. Anyways, so this is the turning point. It is now Emma's birthday. She's turning 29 years old.
This gets so bad so quickly.
Oh my god, so bad. As if it wasn't bad enough. And so Maddie had bought Emma a DNA kit because, the mom was like, I don't even know who, like, your dad's a married guy.
Yeah.
I have no family. I don't even know what nationality I am. Blah, 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 blah. And so Maddie was like, just take this DNA test. And Emma resisted it for so many years, probably like 20 years. And she was like, I don't want to like be a burden on my father. Like, he didn't want me anyways. And so at this point, Maddie's like, well, you're 29 years old. Like, you're not a child. Like, whatever. So they both convince her to do it. She does it, and she finds out her nationality and stuff. And now they're like, "Oh, let's do your DNA relatives, right?" Like, okay. So not only she doesn't the dad fuck the dad, right? Like, we don't even know anything about the dad. Yeah. That was what she was most scared of. Well,
well, that all just blows up right in her face.
So all of a sudden, she looks at DNA relatives, and there's a fucking brother, a half brother on her mother's side, and we're like, Amber. Whoa. You have another child?
Yeah, but what's crazy is that he immediately messages her.
And she also sees, like, all kinds of maternal relatives, aunts, uncles, grandparents. And she's like...
They say nothing about the dad in the
Nothing.
book.
Yeah, that was the big fear.
Yeah, nothing about the dad. It's all the mother. And you're like,
Yeah, no, the dad, irrelevant. That was why she originally didn't want to check. And because, again, she didn't even think to be worried about her mom because her mom's like, my parents are both dead. Yeah. I have no family, blah, blah, blah. Well, that's apparently a bold-faced fucking lie. So now the brother messages her and he's like, hello, is your mother Amber? And she's like, yes, is your mother Amber? And then he was like, oh, like what foster system, whatever, do you grow up in? She's like, no, Amber raised me. And he's like, huh? And I'm like, oh, this is bad. Yeah. Now we find out early on in the book when she says that she's in Minnesota, when Amber's going to mail her stuffy. Mm-hmm. Amber like gets quiet. And Emma makes a comment, and she's like, oh, I forgot my mom's from Minnesota. Mm-hmm. So and that was perfect.
I mean, when I read that, I was like, little suspicious here.
I don't even think I really, like, grasped it, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, really?
But I think it was like a perfect little...
Well, that's the thing. Like, I read it, and I was like, oh, how ironic. Of course she's from Minnesota. And then I was like, wait a second. What does that mean? You know?
Hello?
Like, what's going on here?
And so her brother lives, like, what, 2 hours away?
Yeah, but, like, that also happened like, very extremely quick. Because...
So quick.
Like, 20 minutes later, they're on the road to drive to the house.
Which, I mean, rightfully so.
I mean, I guess, like, before you lose your nerve kind of thing.
Well, not even that. I feel like, again, if you're 2 hours away and you just find out you have a fucking sibling, I also would be, like, in my car. Like... If I found out I had a fucking sister right now, and, like, they were, like, I don't know, in Wildwood, I'd be like, okay, well, I'm on my way. Like, what else do you do?
I don't know.
I don't know if I would have gone the same day.
And
No,
it's
I
her
would have.
birthday. I don't
Yeah,
care.
that's a good point, I guess. But at the same time, like, I don't know if this makes a difference, but I feel like as an only child, especially, like her thinking she was like, I'm an only child, I think I would be like, no fucking way. Cause like I can't even fathom what having a sibling would be like. And so even like seeing someone that looks like me, that would really be like wild to me.
Well, yeah, I guess. See, I'm not an only child, so like
Yeah, like I
I
wonder if that's more of like the urgency. Cause like imagining me right now walking up to someone and like they look like me is the craziest thing I could simply ever imagine because no one in the world looks like me right now.
I guess so. Yeah, I
Like
could
you
see
know,
the appeal.
like you know what it looks like to have siblings. So it's like,
Yeah,
like she again literally thought she had no
I
family.
know. Yeah, that is. Well, her mom really fucked up big time
So
because
anyways, yeah, she goes there.
she goes there and he's like, she pulls up to this beautiful, like colonial Airbnb looking ass house, and he's like, yeah, this is the family house. Our grandparents endowed it to Amber, but she's not around, so now it's mine.
And he
And
tells her he bought the house from her for $500,000.
yeah, and so and then Emma starts putting it together. She's like, oh well, that's why I haven't heard from her in so long, because she probably had money, so she didn't need to like touch base with me and like whatever. Because she
And
even says, like, when her mom had mentioned mailing her the stuffy, she was like, oh, she immediately said like, oh, do you need money for shipping? You know what I mean? So it's very obvious that Emma has always been the parent in that relationship.
And it's really fucked up because at this point, Emma always kind of excused Amber's behavior and said, like, she doesn't have money for resources, yada, yada, yada. She has no family, she's alone. Whereas she had family to support her, she had money to get help. So now all these ideas she had of her mom are like dissipating. On top of that, she finds a picture of her mom. The brother tells her, oh, Amber used to come here at least once a year to come visit me.
Now
Hello?
that
Crazy.
that was really bad. When I read that, I was like, oh no, this girl's gonna fucking lose it.
And then she finds a picture of her and was like, when was this? And she was down there visiting family. And that was the year Emma had referenced a really bad year, the first year her mom left her for a long
Hmm.
period of time. And she was so hungry, she was digging up carrots from her neighbor's garden, ended up in
Yeah,
foster care. And it was the same summer she's sipping a fucking beer at her parents' house.
yeah,
I was like, bro, this woman's a fucking bitch.
yeah. That
Like,
was
again, yes, she clearly has mental illness. I'm not even gonna like deny that.
no, yeah,
But again, Emma had always thought like she had no money to get help, she had no family to support her, she's a single mom, and kind of made these excuses of like she can't do any better. It's not her fault that she's a piece of shit to me.
yeah.
Well, now this blows that all up.
Yeah, because she was always saying, she always, like, even when she would fight with Maddie, she was like, she always did the best that she could with what she had. And, like,
Right.
she still always loved me at the end of the day. Well,
Well,
sister.
this yeah, this blew that up. And so she like fucking loses it. She storms out of the house. She's on
Yeah,
the side of the road screaming she can't breathe. And I was like really feeling for this girl, man. I was like,
yeah.
oh god damn.
I feel
And so now
bad.
she was like, drive me to Amber. I'm like, ah!
I couldn't wait for this confrontation. I was hoping there was going to be a little
I
bit
hope
more like
I
punch to
wish
the
she hit
gut, but
her.
there wasn't.
Oh
Yeah,
no, I wanted her to hit her.
I was hoping for more of a fight, but there wasn't one,
No, there
unfortunately.
wasn't. I
Well,
wanted her to actually. I was feeling so violent on behalf of Emma. I had a vivid image in my head of her taking her and slamming her head into the sink, like just like
yeah,
really beating the shit out of her.
for sure, yeah. Well, and
Which
then
I
that's the
was like,
thing.
wow, I'm a sicko.
Okay, well, and she mentions, how her mom, like, she's like, when she's good, she's like the best fucking person around. She makes you feel so special, so loved. And then, like, as time goes on, like, she mentions of like the fading of her perfume and like all this stuff.
Stops taking care of
And
herself.
yeah,
I feel
and
like she's
it's,
very obviously bipolar,
oh, yeah, for sure. Obviously.
which that's fine. But you had people who were trying to help you, I'm sure.
Yeah,
And
but I don't know. Emma says like the time period, the stigma around it all, like
which is
maybe they
true.
really couldn't do much. Mind you, it's not like they live
Hmm.
in, California or even Jersey, the city. Like they don't live in those areas. They live in Minnesota, which
Right, right, right.
I'm sure is probably that much more of a barrier. You know what I mean?
Agreed, but okay, but then it was shocking, right? So as you mentioned, there wasn't much of a fight. She's like, I have a brother, and she's like, yeah, what did he say? Like, just like doesn't even fucking deny it.
Yes.
It's like, how's
Well,
he
no,
doing?
she starts the conversation and she was like, "Me and Neil are fighting, and I have a headache. I don't have time for this right now." Like,
Dude, I would be beating the shit out of her. Like,
Like the world literally came crashing down on your daughter and you can't even fucking have a
when
conversation.
I tell you I'd be curb stomping my mom into the fucking side of the counter.
At least say like I'm fucking sorry, you know?
Doesn't care. She has no care in the world. And so Emma like fucking loses it. Now Maddie and Justin are downstairs and they're like, and they've had conversations when Emma goes through like trauma. She gets small, she calls it. She like gets very like dissociated. She gets like very
Which
like
I can fucking when she was explaining that feeling of like getting small, like I could
mhm.
really fucking feel that.
Yeah, and I think she did a great job of it. And
Yes.
eventually Maddie refers to it as avoidant attachment style, which like yeah, that
Hmm.
was a really good way for the author to word that slash explain it, which I thought was really well done. Um and so they're waiting downstairs and like, let's give her space. You know, when she gets small, don't let her leave because she'll never come back. But simultaneously, like give her space, like let her like do her thing,
Yeah.
whatever. And so they're trying to do that, and then all of a sudden, like fucking Amber and Emma are both gone. And then Neil comes back and fucking Amber lit the house on fire.
Oh my god.
We also skipped over the one altercation where Amber threw all Neil's clothes out the window and like all of them cleaned it up, which is fine. It's just more of Amber's bullshit. That was before the
Yeah.
family thing. But
Yeah.
basically, Amber's a fucking psycho, which again,
Yeah.
I understand that she's mentally ill, but like also, I am Team Emma. Wearing Emma's jersey fully, you know,
Yeah,
that's
and
my
what's
girl. So also, like, fuck you for hurting her.
but this is a bad thing with like mental illness, right? It's like you have to be willing to get better, right? So
Mm.
Like Neil was telling Maddie or Justin, but I don't know. He was telling them like, "Oh, like I told your mother like I would pay for anything she needed, all the help she needed, all the inpatient, whatever, outpatient, whatever she needed. I would pay for it to help her get better." He was either going to put out money for an apartment for her to be by herself, like not even like when before they broke up kind of thing. And I was like, wow, like what a nice guy. But it just goes to show that like when you have mental illness and you're in that deep dark place, like you can't get out of it and this is all you know, like
It's just hard because it's like
so messed up.
it's hard because like that was kind of also like Emma's thing too, was like, you know, no one was ever gonna like give her this again. Like, why can't you just try? Like,
Yeah,
what don't you want to be better? Like, you know, so it
exactly.
is difficult. And so now Emma's fucking gone, but Maddie, like the smart girl she is, put air tags in her luggage. LOL. And so she like follows her to like a
Smart.
hotel. They
Mm-hmm.
had this whole like heart to heart. Basically, Emma's like, I'm fucked up. Like, and then so that's when Maddie tells her, like, I think that you've like never unpacked your suitcase, all this stuff. And like, that's why we do travel nursing, is because like you just can't put down roots. You have this like
Yeah.
avoidant attachment
She
style,
totally psyche evals her.
which love it.
Yeah.
And Maddie basically is also kind of like, yeah, like I travel nurse like for you. Like, that's like, doesn't say it, but like, you know,
Well,
basically is
yeah,
like,
because she's afraid that like if she leaves, like she's gone. Like
yeah, like
something
she'll
happens, she'll
just
never see her
do
again.
right. Like she'll just that'll be it.
Yeah.
And so they have this like really deep heart to heart. Now this part gets fucking crazy. So then Emma was planning on fully dipping without saying goodbye to Maddie or Justin. Maddie like reeled her back in, whatever. And so Justin,
Poor
she goes to
Justin.
Justin's house,
This
and this
poor
part broke my
guy.
fucking heart.
I okay, yes.
Go ahead, you go.
No, I was thinking of the ending, but
Oh,
like,
okay.
yeah, she basically goes there and she was like, "Can we sit down on the like in the living room?" And he's like, "I've received all the worst news of my life on this
Ugh.
couch in the living room." And immediately I was like, "Oh, fuck." And then he was like, "But I didn't want to move it somewhere else and taint somewhere else in the house." And I was like, "Wow, this is fucking
Yeah, it
sick.
made me
This is
actually fucking
disgusting."
sick to my stomach.
Yeah, I felt so bad and she was just like basically she was like, "I can't work on my shit and be in a relationship with you." And like she was like, "I'm too unstable and like the kids don't deserve that." And
And she
like
was like, I can't be there, Amber. I was like, oh my God.
yeah, it was crazy. So lo and behold, they break up.
And he even
And
is like, no, like she's making sense. Like she isn't good for these kids.
yeah,
Like he's
which
agreeing with her. And I'm like,
I
oh my
know. And you're
God.
like, fuck, like how is this gonna come back together, right? So she leaves and then it's like 6 months later.
Which I appreciated this.
No, I did like it, but I was like, but she's in fucking Minnesota still with her family. I'm like, I was like, girl, this is crazy.
Okay, but I
You've been
also
in Minnesota this
almost,
whole time. How have you not reached out to him? Like,
no,
how
I
have you
agree with
not
that.
just like driven past his house? Like,
No,
you know
yeah,
what I mean?
I would be a sick bitch and be like doing that shit all the time. But I
Yeah.
also think it's props to her. Like she's like, I went to therapy. I got diagnosed with avoidant attachment, PTSD, like all these things. And like I knew like the first time me and Justin had a fight, like I would just try to leave the
Yeah.
kids. And like she basically says like also I couldn't even stay somewhere for more than 2-3 months at a time.
Yeah.
And so she literally had a countdown going and said if I
I
stayed somewhere for 6 months,
know.
like I would go back to him.
Okay, so
Which
this
I thought was realistic and I was proud of her for. I was like, I feel like this girl's my best friend. Like, I was like, I'm proud of you. That was a smart decision. Like, I was like, all for this.
Jamie, the last like 2 chapters of this book, like I almost started bawling. I
Okay.
don't
Also, I don't know if you had this feeling too. So we'll get there in a second, but basically the ending is like 5 pages, and I'm like, there's not enough.
Yes.
Don't end it.
I know.
I was
I
like,
know. I know. I'm like, wow. Am I like a pussy now? Like what the fuck is this? I'm like, why is this affecting me as hard as it is? Why do I like this book? You know what I mean? I'm like, I feel
oh
like
my
I need a psyche
god.
valve because I've been so anti-romance like my whole life, obviously. And now you make me read all these stupid fucking romance books, and I'm like, wow, these actually aren't that bad. And I'm like, I hate my life. I hate that I'm enjoying this so
Well, the
much.
fact that you called Justin your book boyfriend and he's like a super paternal figure, I was like, are we sure, Hal?
I don't know. And then it's like, well, what's my fucking trauma? What does this say about me?
Hallie's panicking. So
I am. I'm having a whole identity crisis.
so Emma's like, all right, I'm gonna drive there. It's been 6
Thanks,
months.
Abby.
Right.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Abby. We love you. So Emma starts driving to Justin's. Now on the way there, so she didn't tell anyone she was going. Not her brother,
Yeah.
no one. She gets a call from Sarah, and she's like, "What the fuck?" And she answers the phone, and Sarah's like, "I got my period at school for the first time. Like, can you come and get me? You're still on the emergency contact list." Which I was like, "That's so fucking cute that she's on the emergency contact list." But okay.
Yeah.
And so Emma was like, "Yes." So Emma goes and gets her, whatever. And so Sarah basically tells her, we're really sad when you left.
Yeah. She like took her
And
to lunch.
yeah, and she was like, I didn't want you guys to feel abandoned. And Sarah, this part was like profound for like a 11 or a 12, 13-year-old.
Yes.
She was like, well, we didn't feel abandoned because I knew if I ever called you, you'd come. I was like, oh, full body chills. Thanks, Sarah.
Yeah. Like these. And I think, and she mentioned that in the book, like this is a testament to like being raised in a healthy family dynamic.
And she says, like, I am better than Amber because, yeah, she's right. Like, I would always come for her.
Oh my God, wait, we didn't talk about this. How, like, this is back a little bit. When I read this, I was like, oh, I'm gonna fucking die. So when she starts staying over all the time, or like that first morning when he makes breakfast and she stays because Chelsea like wanted to like come in the room, whatever, and he's like, he just like kissed her on the cheek, and she was like, don't you think that's too much PDA in front of the children? And he was like, no, like that is what a healthy healthy relationship looks like that's how I grew up, and that's how I want them to see. And I was like melted. I literally was a puddle on my couch.
That was good.
I was like, oh,
and also true, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you should see your parents kiss. Well,
wow,
whatever, guardians. I don't know.
What a man, really.
What a man. And so Sarah's like, you should come in. And so at this point it gets a little messy, and I was like, no! But
well, because her whole plan is skewed now.
Right, because
and this was just crazy. Like the emotional reaction that I had to her entering the house and everything that followed was not in the normal
his
realms
reaction.
For me.
Oh my God. So Sarah was like, come downstairs. And he comes downstairs and she's fucking holding Chelsea, and she's like, she has an ear infection. And I was like, hello?
Yeah.
I was like, that's maybe not how you should have opened. And he's like in shock. He's like just trying to fucking work from home like the good father that he is. And so he's like, what? And so whatever. So Sarah takes Chelsea, they go away. So now basically like she wasn't great here. She didn't say anything.
Okay, yeah. So they're just like sitting there on the couch.
Just staring at each other.
And yeah, like in silence, basically.
Mad awkward, which honestly is probably realistic. Like, even the miscommunication is probably realistic.
Mm-hmm.
Let's be honest.
Yeah. So basically, I don't even remember what was said, but Justin ends the conversation. Like, they weren't really talking, but then, like, she must have said something, because then Justin was like, honestly, I'm, like, not happy that you're here. And
again,
I was like,
he thinks that she came for Sarah.
I was like, knife in the heart. I was like, fuck, because as the reader, she wants to tell him all these things,
right?
And she's not saying anything, and you're like, come on, bitch, get it together.
But then you also know from his stance that he thinks she's just here to drop off his sister, and he was like, I still love you. I wish you just didn't fucking come here and show me all the things I can't have.
Yeah.
And you're like, can you two just talk?
Yeah, seriously. So like she's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And she gets up and she walks to the door and he like walks her out and then
Thank God.
finally gets the nerve and she turns around and she was like, "I just need to tell you like
I love
I'm in love with
you.
you."
Yeah.
Like all this
I've been in
crazy.
therapy. I'm working on
Yes.
myself. I'm good for the kids now. I'm good for
Yes.
you. Just like word vomits. And I'm like, yes,
Yes.
yes, yes, yes.
And she's like saying all these things and she's saying that like, there's like tears in his eyes and like, I'm like, "Oh my god, like the tears are glistening in my eyes." And I was like, "I need to blink these back."
I like how we're also just yelling at each other manically.
Oh my god, it was just crazy. The emotional reaction. It was just like I have not experienced that in a while. Like reading a
Oh
book.
my God, I'm so emotional. Like listening to you.
Oh
Um,
god, it
and
was
so
so
yeah, I don't
good.
even know if they kiss. I have no fucking idea what they do. But they're fine. They're back
Yes, they
together.
kiss. I think they kiss.
I don't know. They're in love.
She's back at her docking station. That's all that matters.
Right, right. And so
Blech.
they're all good. And then epilogue, I appreciated the epilogue
Yeah, I saw that blog. I was like, "Oh, Jamie fucking loves this shit."
because again, you
Okay,
can't just end me at a last
well,
kiss.
so this is the thing, right? Like, I felt like I was very emotionally invested in this book, and I was very happy there was an epilogue.
Okay,
And I
yay, love
think if
that.
there wasn't an epilogue, I would have been upset.
Amazing. Yes. Fuck yes. Look at ladies and gentlemen, we've fucking done it. I'm thrilled. And so the epilogue ends how the book began with the, little prologue or whatever, and it's a Reddit thread and he's like, "Am I the asshole?"
Oh my god, it's so
And
good.
so because basically like have that whole toilet thing situation,
Yeah,
toilet king
King.
thing,
Yeah.
he's like, "I want to propose to my girlfriend with the clogged toilet billboard." And like Maddie's like, "Yes, do it." And everyone else is like, "Do not do that." And he's like, "Should I do it?" And so whatever. So he writes this whole thing and then, he like edits it and he's like, "I did it." And like she said yes. I was like, "Oh, perfect.
Yeah,
Perfect." And it was great, honestly, even like from a writing standpoint,
that's all
ending
you
and
needed.
beginning with like a Reddit thread, awesome.
Yeah, this like the scene. What's that word?
I don't know, but like full circle moment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and like I liked how the epilogue was like short and sweet. Like it wasn't like,
Yeah.
and then they bought this house, and then they did this, and then his mother came home, and everything was like I was happy it ended the way that it did.
And it was good because it was literally like you got a little taste too when they were for 6 months with her family. They
Yeah,
mentioned like Maddie's boyfriend. I forget his name. Honestly, don't remember. Um,
Oscar,
I feel like that's definitely
Doug,
not it. Yeah.
Doug. It was
Okay.
Doug.
I was like, it's not Oscar. Um, oh, my cat's gonna sneeze. Okay, sorry. She looks so cute. I love her. Anyways, oh my god, she looks so cute right now.
All
Anyways,
right,
I'm
come
sorry.
on.
Okay, sorry. So in that 6 month period, Maddie starts dating Doug. And then I also like how in the epilogue, he was like, "Oh, like her best
And
friend
Doug,
Maddie and her husband
yeah,
Doug." Like, so with literally 2 pages where everyone stands. And he's like, "Oh, my girlfriend and I have been dating for 2 years, like my live-in girlfriend. My
yeah,
mom's getting out of prison early." Like, it was perfect. Like,
yeah. It just hit
he
the nail
just
on the head.
yeah, you got all the points. Like he was like, "Oh, my mom's getting out of prison early, so my live-in girlfriend and I are finally getting our own place. I want to propose this way. Her best friend Maddie and her husband." It was just like, yes, 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 yes. Perfect.
Perfect.
Succinct. It was succinct. It was lovely.
Succinct. Yeah.
Spicy.
Yeah, good
Um,
word.
wow, fucking raving over this book, raving like lunatics.
Well, now I regret not buying the fucking
Mm-hmm.
paperback because I totally would want to reread this book.
Yeah. Okay. So tell me your rating, Hal Gal. Give it to me.
Drum roll, please. I gave it a 5.
Holy shit!
Isn't that crazy? I know. I was shocked myself. I closed the book, like I finished the book, and I was like, "Wow, that's like a 5-star read."
Wow!
I really liked it. Like
Wow!
I was obsessed.
What?
It
Oh
was
my
so good.
guys, I'm having. I'm fucking speechless. This is like a big moment for the pod. Wow!
Yes, this is a big turning point in my reading career.
This is
Really.
big for the pod. This is big for Hallie's life.
Yeah.
Holy fuck. I think I gave it 4. I don't know. I don't really know if I like thought about it. I think that was just my gut reaction. I might give it a 5, maybe like a 4.7 for me. I don't know.
So this was a thing,
I
right? So
haven't
I
like
gave.
written my review yet. But the more I
Okay.
talk about it with you, like I haven't like written words, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But the more I talk about it with you, there was no plot holes The writing style was great. I felt things. So
Yeah.
it could be a 5 for me as well. You may have swayed me.
So, okay, so I thought about it this way. I was like, it's going to be, I knew for sure it was going to be at least a 4. And then I was like, but I really like it, but I want to give it a 4.5, but I gave the On Honeymooners a 4.5. And I
Fair.
liked this one just a little bit more. So I was like,
Mm-hmm.
it's got to be a 5.
Wow. I think for me, Unhoneymooners and this one are probably like very
Neck and
close.
neck.
Yeah, I'm not sure which one I like better. Maybe this one. Um, just because, but they're both unique and well done, I felt.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
I mean, I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know. It's just the feeling I got. Don't get me wrong. I love the On Honeymooners. That was a good book too. But
who are you? Who am I
I
talking to?
know.
Who the
I
fuck
don't.
are you?
I don't know. I'm having an identity crisis. I just told you this.
Holy fuck! Are you gonna be okay?
No, I'm gonna start perusing the romance section at Barnes and Nobles. I'm gonna want to kill myself. I'm gonna see people and not and be like, "Hey, hey, I'm one of you now."
Oh my god,
Fuck.
I don't think I've ever been so happy in my entire life, including the day I got married.
I'm
Wow.
dead. That's crazy.
Wow. The joy I
Yeah,
feel.
yeah, yeah. It's crazy. We're really just. I'm going through changes, I guess.
Oh my god. And so, okay, I feel number one, so accomplished, so good. Can't even express to you guys how I feel. I feel like this is the perfect end to our romance journey. And now we're moving on.
Yes,
I think was wonderful. This was a
I
wonderful
agree.
journey.
It was a nice little bow on the present. Going out with a
Yeah.
bang.
This was wonderful. And so, yeah, we're done with romance. I feel like summer's also ending. This will be the last episode.
Summer's over.
Yeah, sad. This will be the last episode in the month of August. Obviously, you guys know that if you are listening, because that means it is out.
Yeah.
Do we want to do normal people next week?
We could.
I'm down.
Okay. We can
Is it?
discuss.
Yes, we can discuss. But I think we want to do some kind of Sally Rooney contemporary.
Well, Sally Rooney also, it's contemporary. There is romance in that book.
Right. I don't mind that. I think like most books, let's be honest, have romance in it.
Yeah,
Like, you know what I'm
of
saying? Even the
course.
fantasy, whatever. Um, but I think obviously romance books are a very niche, specific kind of literature.
For
So
sure,
like we're
yeah.
done with like that
Yes.
level of romance books. Yes, we're gonna
Yeah.
still read books with
Like
romance in it.
Sally Rooney is just in the fiction section, whereas like
These are in the romance section.
this is in the romance section. Yeah,
Is
exactly.
Sally Rooney like almost like John Green? Is he a contemporary author?
Yeah, but he's young adult.
So she's adult contemporary. But like, is that
Yes.
comparable? Like,
Mm, she has a unique writing style, I would say.
hmm,
Um, I honestly, I have not read John Green since we read Looking for Alaska like fucking 3 years
wow.
ago.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So like I
Yeah.
also kind of forget his writing, but
Right.
like it's I feel like him being like such a novel writer, like Sally Rooney for me, I think she's also like a novel writer.
Right. That's why I was like in my head comparing them, I feel like. So yeah,
Like it's not
maybe
like I don't think she I don't know. I've never heard anything bad about Sally Rooney either, just like I've never also heard anything bad about John Green.
right, I feel like it's just like you like them. They're good, they're solid.
Yeah. It's a solid read for sure.
So yeah, I mean I'm down. Well, obviously we're gonna discuss
Oh my
some
god, we could watch the show too.
there's
There's
a
a show
show.
on Hulu. Yeah, they did a Hulu adaptation,
So that could be
I
fun.
think, for normal people.
We could do like a
Or is it a
little
movie? Might be a
uh
movie. I can't
I'm gonna look
remember.
it up right now. Oh, is it with what's her face? What's her face? Nicole Kidman?
I don't know names of actors, sorry.
Okay.
I'm really bad with that kind of stuff.
It is a season and it
Yeah.
is on Hulu.
Yes, yeah, see? I was right. Yes.
And
Oh, this one, Normal People is such a good one. I like That was the first book I read by
I
her.
think we're just gonna do it. I think we should just commit.
Okay. And it's short. It's not that long.
Okay, so we're gonna do that next week.
Sick.
Just because, and also like I said, it'll be fun because you read it and I haven't. So let's do like a little trade off.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so we'll do that.
Little switcheroo.
So maybe we'll do like next week. Maybe we won't read. I mean, we'll read the full book. Jesus, we won't watch the full show. I'm sure.
No.
But we can do like kind of like how we did with like Eat, Pray, Love, like a little book
Mm-hmm.
and adaptation review.
Yeah.
Okay. So that'll be next week.
Amazing.
I like it.
Well, thank you all for listening.
This could be our best episode yet, just because of how it turned out.
I know. Wow. Abby Jimenez, you're good.
And also at first I was like, oh, like, are we going to talk about this book, you know, for more than 40 minutes for an episode? Because it's a romance. Like, how does Hallee feel? I didn't even think about it. And we've been talking for an hour and 10 minutes. And we just rambled. It was wonderful.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. It's a good book. Highly recommend.
The vibes were high this episode.
They were high.
High vibes.
I felt like this book has given me that feeling that I've been looking for a while in a book. Remember we were having this conversation? God! Like, I feel really good about reading this book.
Oh my God. And all of you who are listening, like I know, I don't know, can I say first and last names? Whatever. Well, I know Hannah and Heather both read this book. Yeah. So if they're listening, they also know you in person. I hope you two are as fucking shocked as I am. Like, guys, please text me and let me know that this is fucking crazy.
I know. I'm in shock myself.
So, hi, Hannah and Heather. Who is this girl?
I don't know. Who is she? Somebody come get her.
Wow. All right. Holy shit. All right. Well, let's keep this train going. And now we're going to like spooky season. That's it. Done deal.
Spooky. So exciting.
All right. Well, guys, thank you for being here for this monumental moment with us.
This is pivotal.
Pivotal.
Very pivotal.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys next week for our normal people book discussion and show chit chat.
Yes.
All right.
See y'all there. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye.
Bye.